In this video, I'm going to go over 5 essential and basic fundamental tips for any aspiring Ana player, so let's jump into it. The first tip for Ana is that your weapon heals for 70 over 0.6 seconds and also damages for 70 over the same amount of time. And also when you hit something in sequence, it will still take full damage, so if you shoot something twice, it will take 140 damage. So it might seem like stacking the bolts doesn't really do anything, but it actually does. Or you might be under the impression that you don't get the full effect because it seems to be like a damage over time effect. Essentially, it does do damage over time and healing over time, but it's so fast that it will restore 70 health a shot and deal 70 damage a shot. The other thing to keep in mind with Ana is when you shoot from the hip, it is a projectile with travel time, so you have to lead your targets a little bit depending on the distance. And when you zoom in with your alt fire, it's hitscan, so just something to be aware of. The second tip for Ana is that you move 65% speed or 65% slower when zoomed in, so you move much slower. However, you can counteract this by quickscoping. So you still will move slower, but you'll move slower for much less, and you can actually nullify this effect completely by jumping and quickscoping. So the third tip has to deal with your healing grenade. Your healing grenade does a few things. The first thing it does is it does 60 damage to enemies, and it also prevents them from being healed for 3 seconds. Now this effect can be cleansed with a Kiriko Suzu, but if you are fighting a Kiriko and you just wait for her to use her Suzu and then use it, it can help your team focus down a tank because they'll be unable to be healed for 3 seconds. And assuming it's not like a Zarya who can bubble, which both cleanses that effect and also makes her unhittable, you can focus down tanks pretty quickly and turn team fights just with your healing grenade. Your healing grenade also heals for 100 health, and it also buffs you and allies in its radius to heal for 50% more, so you receive 50% more healing. So you not only spike heal and damage enemies that are within its radius, but you also increase the amount of healing done to allies for 3 seconds. So it's an extremely good tool for, saving someone in a pinch, winning team fights by debuffing enemy tanks, or even just debuffing enemies so that they can't be healed, making them much easier targets. And it also boosts healing, so it helps in team fight in a lot of ways, especially for the healing boost. And also the other big upside of this is if you get attacked, like let's say some enemy DPS is pushing you, if they get you, they put some damage on you and you hit you and them with the explosion, they will take damage and have healing debuff. You will have healing increase plus 100 health on yourself, and then you can also win a deathmatch pretty easily by using your grenade. For the fourth tip, I want to talk about her sleep ability, her sleep dart. The sleep dart, it's effective at any range, so if you're really good, or if there's like an enemy widow that's not moving around too much, you can sleep things from really far away. The way sleep works is enemies are put to sleep for a few seconds, and then they wake up. If you hit them, they'll wake up faster. This can be useful for if an enemy charges you, like say a Genji at full health, your healing grenade's on cooldown, you just quickly sleep them, assuming they're not reflecting, or just sleep like a Sombra or a tank that's rushing you. Now, if your team can play around the sleep, it's hugely beneficial to put things to sleep. There's a 0.5 second delay, so if I shoot a guy, it takes 0.5 seconds for them to stand up. So even if you just sleep something for like 2 or 3 seconds, that could be the difference between, an enemy Roadhog healing itself, some ult going off, or you can even use it to interrupt enemy Moira ults, which is very nice because the CC puts her to sleep, and then when she wakes up, her ult is gone. So hugely useful, great for dueling as well. One of the big tactics, let me just kill these guys really quick, just get them back to full health. One of the big tactics with sleep, like let's say you sleep an enemy, you're fighting an enemy, you do this before they wake up. You get them with the grenade and then primary combo. So that way when they wake up, they're missing a lot of health and they're health debuffed. Alternatively, you can shoot throw while they're asleep to burst them down, or you can just use it just to retreat. Really useful just to, like, say there's an enemy tank that rushes your backline. If your team knows not to shoot weight like sleeping enemies, then you can put enemies to sleep for a few seconds and then just get away. It's such a useful tool. So yeah, that's sleep, pretty useful. For the fifth and final tip for Ana, your alt is actually a lot better than you realize. So all it says in game, it's actually kind of misleading, increased an ally's damage while reducing damage taken. It doesn't give you the percentages, and it also doesn't tell you that it heals them for 250 health, and that healing is scaled by biotic grenade. So when you use an alt on someone, they deal 50% more damage, and they take 50% less damage. So if you throw this on a Reinhardt, he can completely kill the entire enemy team easily, especially if you hit them with a healing grenade, with the biotic grenade, to prevent heals. Because think about it, he's moving, well, he doesn't move faster, but he hits for 50% more damage, and he takes half damage. So if he can just rush in and just start smacking dudes, he will kill them very easily. And then you can also use sleep on retreating enemies. So like say an enemy's retreating while you have a dude popping off. It's really good to use the alt on someone who can get a lot of kills or a hard carry. Even if you use it on like a Genji or something, especially a Genji that's alting, him dealing 50% more damage, taking less damage, 50% less damage. So there's the heal effect. You can see it heals for 250. You can also use a healing grenade and then do that. It can also double as a get out of jail free card. Let's say you have a tank who's about to die. You hit him with a healing grenade and then ult them. That'll spike their health up really high. It'll heal them for 250 times, 1.5. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, but, or actually, yeah, dude, it's 375. So 375 heal because it's just half of 250. But yeah, pretty big heal, and also the fact that you can control who's getting healed. You can spike up heals. You can put things to sleep. There's a lot in this kit that's very useful. Also note you cannot headshot. Headshotting does not exist on this character. So just shoot for center of mass for damage. You can also sleep things at range, which is pretty useful if you can land those shots. In one game I hit a Pharah who was pretty far away just flying around with the sleep dart, and it allowed us to push in, and then after we killed like 2 of her teammates, then we all just focused her down. So sleep can pretty much mark someone for death if you sleep them behind, enemy lines, or in other words, where your team is at. If you isolate people with sleep, it's pretty insane. They pretty much are doomed unless there's certain heroes who can escape well. But yeah, pretty useful. You can also, your allies can headshot enemies that are asleep. Like, I've had games where I was working with, a McCree, and I'd sleep something, and he would just, shoot them in the head and kill them instantly. So, same thing with Widow. So, pretty powerful character, pretty fun, pretty dynamic. Definitely a fun character. So yeah, that's it for this one. Definitely like and subscribe if you found this guide useful. Let me know if there's anything I missed. I didn't cover anything too advanced or too high level because this is just a beginner guide for people who want to pick up the character and just want some quick tips. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thanks for checking this out. I'll see you in the next one.